Okay, guys, so this is our third podcast, Casual Friday with Blacksoul, and I have a big honor to have in a studio actually across the ocean, in his own studio, right? George HATIRAS, aka HATIRAS. This guy is amazing. He's been in production for like 20 plus years, I think so, right? Yeah, sort of. Yeah, we are sort of same age. You had a lot of releases on big labels like Dirty Bird, Defected, your own space. It's
Spacedisco, right here.
That's right. So and Simma Black, and you have a recent single coming on Milk and Sugars labels with the Seb Junior, right? And it's an honor to have you here in the studio. I have a lot of questions for you, but you always can interrupt, interfere, and say something stupid, whatever not, right? So it's, how do you feel like doing it? Just do it. So welcome, George. So the first question is, number one Jacking House artist in 2019 by Track Source. What does that mean to you? What that means actually? Are you Jacking House artist or are you just house artist? How do you feel like?
I mean, you know, first of all, I'm very honored, and I sincerely feel that I share that title with a lot of guys. You, Angelo Ferreri, J. Paul Ghetto, Vincent Car, we're all working together to create a scene. So I'm not trying to say I'm the number one guy. I feel like we're all a family, and I'm really honored that they gave me some sort of reward for the hard work, you know. But I mean, even the title, it's hard to define what is jacking house, or you know what I mean. So like, but I am very happy, very honored, and you know, I feel they probably gave me that title because of the productions I made, but also because of all the music I put out on my label with all the artists I put out. So it's like we're all creating a movement and pushing, you know. But I'm never one to take any kind of achievement and to think too much about it. You know what I mean? I always want to look forward, you know? I don't want to slow down or think too much. So I'm very honored, very happy. It's amazing. And now there's more work to do. There's more pressure now.
Because the 2020 is almost like halfway done. So, you know, so you got to think about what's going to happen end of this year. You know, are you going to be another number one again, or are you going to be like something else? But, you know, Jacking House is, you know, I'm into this kind of music, like, since I know myself and since I've been in productions, and I was always a big fan of Jacking House, West Coast sound, you know, sampling old style disco and stuff. But, you know, is it necessarily to be called Jacking House, or what, how do you see it? Do you see it like a house music, or?
Yeah, I guess, you know, now it's taken on that name, you know what I mean? But like the whole root of it for me comes from like original, like, you know, DJ Sneak stuff, or even Roulette Records, you know, the early Daft Punk stuff, that French Chicago sample filter. So maybe, you know, maybe it'd be called filtered or disco or jacking or whatever. But like, it's more, I guess, like it's repetitive, hypnotic, funky, loopy, filtered, and it's fun, you know, and makes you dance. So I guess we can keep that word for it, but like titles are just that. They're just for now, you know? So
just to confuse people, I guess.
Just to confuse, you know, maybe. But for me, it comes from like old Chicago house, disco, you know, French, that whole style, you know, from the late 90s, you know?
Gotcha. So besides music, which is, I think it's like your full-time job, right? But you can also call it a hobby. But do you have any other hobbies? Like, do you cook, or do you collect stuff like I don't know, Mandalorian, you know, toys, or?
Nice, Star Wars. I mean, I definitely I'd like to cook, you know. I probably the most common thing I do is just simple breakfasts, like eggs and bacon and toast and stuff like that. But I also do like barbecue sometimes, you know. I love graphic design. I love photography. I love video editing. So if you even look at like my YouTube channel for like many years, even more than 10 years now, I have like a lot of like visual art that I've created, like the different things where I like just play with Photoshop or Final Cut. I grew up in a home where I would sometimes I would just wake up and then I'd look and my dad would have the camera in my face, and he's like, he was a photographer growing up, you know.
Hmm.
So he taught me a lot about the art of photography, and he would also sing in the church choir. So I think I got a lot of stuff from him, from like the musical and visual art, you know. So I love that stuff. I love going to parties. I don't need to DJ at a party. I love to just go and be with my friends, you know, although that's not happening a lot right now, but hopefully soon, you know.
Yeah.
So and I'm also like super addicted to learning stuff. I'm always like learning new things. Like, I love to learn. I don't really watch a lot of like movies or TV shows. I'm always watching like someone speaking on like YouTube, whether it's about like some music equipment or some theories about the universe or business or whatever it is. I love to like be a sponge and learn things, you know.
Hmm.
So that's, yeah.
So cool. So pretty much like you're not just like the musician or producer or a DJ. You're like multimedia artist, right? So you do like editing, everything, which is kind of like really cool these days, especially these days when you have to know everything. Unless you have like tons of money and you have like 10 people in your company which is doing that on your behalf. But basically, if you're a one-man army, that's even better. I mean, if you know how to do it, that's like kind of the skill that is required for you as an artist these days. It's otherwise you like just, you know, nobody, you know, notices music, because music is unfortunately just not so important anymore. It used to be. It's like kind of like the whole experience. That's how I see it, you know, for the past 3, 4, 5 years, you know. So it's interesting, you know, it's pretty cool, you know. And you know, you've been sending me some stuff, you know, and especially, you know, I'm so keen having you on a stream this Saturday for Mixed by HATIRAS. So people will be surprised, you know, to see what's happening behind the scenes, you know, and how are you doing it. So this, I think that's the pure example of what you mentioned. But when you mentioned the movies, you're not seeing much of the movies, but I've seen one of your T-shirts, and that was the movie called Orgy of the Dead.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah.
On
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of them. So do you know this movie, or?
I didn't know that actually that was a movie. So wait, you're
It
telling me
is.
that's an actual movie?
Yeah,
Really?
it's from 1965, man. It's like kind of
Really?
like trashy wannabe George Romero nightmare, you know, Night of the Living Dead, you know, thing, you know, but with the orgies, right? So it's kind of like
Really?
it's crazy. So I was surprised when I saw that, because I'm a big fan of the trash movies of 70s, 80s horror, you know, sci-fi and all that stuff. So kind of I couldn't not to notice that T-shirt. So I had
Me,
to ask you that.
me too, actually. Growing up, I loved all the, like, I really loved all those zombie movies. And I loved the way, even the sounds, they would use these analog synths. It was so incredible. I think that, like, definitely affected me a little bit as well, like the big analog synths. And yeah, I definitely, I had a phase where I watched like every horror movie, every zombie movie, you know. Just, I wish I had more time lately. I feel like I've been like, because like you said, when you're a one-man show, I've been so busy doing everything, you know, like, oh, signing a record, you know, and I'm mastering a lot of records every week for myself and for some other labels. So I'm like just so busy. I need to remind myself to slow down sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I
So
think we all do.
yeah, exactly. So, you know, maybe now is a good time for that too, since no one's really traveling or anything. So it's a good time to,
Yeah,
to
well, I think the situation is getting better. You know, today we had 0 infected, which is
yeah,
like the first day without any infection going
yeah,
on. So those strict measurement, you know, measures and you know, are not anymore in place. So for example, the clubs will open this weekend. You know,
really?
I don't know how it's going to go with the people, because a lot of people lost their jobs and they don't have money right now, and it's going to be even worse going towards July, August, September. But you know, let's hope that it's going to at least somehow save the scene and the clubs and the DJs in the country. You know, at least that's what I hope. You know, and I pray for you know, for not having a second wave of infections and you know, virus things. So but we'll see, you know. So you mentioned you you grew up with your father, and you're born and raised in Toronto, in Canada, right? So how that affected your life, and how that affected your music thing over there? I mean, did it at all, or you've been influenced by other guys from other countries?
Oh, it affected me a lot because when I was, I believe I was 12 years old, my sister gave me a mixtape. I never knew what a mixtape was, you know, and it was some kids from the same building we lived in made a tape, and it was, you know, like a DJ mix. And it had all the music then was kind of like electronic, early house, but a lot of like freestyle, like stuff that you would call like early electro or whatever. And I heard this and it blew my mind, you know. And then I at the time, remember, there was no internet, right? So I had to like, I discovered like 2 radio shows that played electronic music. They played like early house and maybe a little bit of like, you know, New Order or Duran Duran, or, you know, Depeche Mode, and then some like early like techno, and, you know, and then it was like I fell in love, and I bought like a cassette deck, and I started recording the radio show, and it was like 1 or 2 hours every week. That you couldn't hear like house music or electronic music anywhere. Like it was only that one radio show, you know. And then I discovered there was like one store where they sold the vinyls, and I went down there, and I was like a teenager, you know. And then I was like 15. I discovered there was some like parties, you know, these like hall parties where there would be a DJ. And so I would go there with my sister, and I was like hearing like original old house music, you know. And I just, it was on a big sound system, and I fell in love, you know. And to me, it was like, I was that kid who like, I was kind of that purist hater, you know. I was in high school, and I was like, no man, I hate commercial music. You have to hear this. Like I would like walk around and be like with a tape. I'm like, no. Every time I was in the car, I'd be like, turn this shit off, put this on. I'd be like, I was like the crazy one who was like, play this, you know? And, you know, so I remember like, and then I discovered like the rave scene. It was actually 92. And I went to some raves, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing. I was loving like it was called hardcore or like breakbeat or early techno, you know. But I loved that, like the rave sound, but I also loved the original like soulful vocal house stuff, you know, Masters at Work, all that, you know. And so I was kind of young, and my parents were a little bit like, they weren't strict, but they would like ask me what I was doing, and they didn't really want me to go out like all night, you know what I mean? So I wanted to find an excuse to like go to these parties like all night, you know. And I was studying biology at the time, like nutrition and things. So I was like, somehow I went to one rave, and there was a guy with like a blender and like black lights, and he was like selling like these energy drinks, you know. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, wow, like that's so cool. Like maybe I can try to do that at these parties. So that with a friend of mine, we tried it. We started it was called a smart bar. So back then a smart bar was, you would go to a rave, and it was like all ages. They didn't sell alcohol, and we would have blenders and lab coats and some lights, and we would put like vitamin C with banana, pineapple, some ginseng, you know, some like healthy stuff, you know. So now I was, I think 17, and I was at every single weekend, every rave. There was like huge parties in Toronto. There was like 5,000, 2,000, you know, 500. And I was at every party every Friday, Saturday, from beginning to end, from like 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. selling my drinks, you know? So I'd be there blending, selling these drinks, and the whole time it's like the music is just penetrating my brain, you know? And I'm like, because I was there from the beginning to the end, I would learn how the parties operated. I was like, okay, so there's a security, there's the guy collecting money at the door, there's the promoters, there's the flyers, there's the sound and light. So I learned from behind the scenes, the whole thing, how parties worked. And because I was at every party, I met everyone. So everyone knew, oh, hey, it's George, it's Liquid Adrenaline. That was the name of my bar, you know? And so after doing that for 2 years, being at like every single rave, I had an opportunity. I decided to throw my own rave. So this was in the spring of 95, you know? And I remember like all the other promoters were like, ah, it's George with the bar. He's maybe you'll get 100 people. Yeah. They didn't like think I would do it, you know? But because I was at every rave and I was there from beginning to end, I was promoting harder than everyone else. I like had the flyers like everywhere, you know? So the first party I did had like 650 people, which was a huge success, you know? I rented the basement of a church where they have the cafeteria, you know? And then that was the beginning of like, okay, George is I was the bar guy before, and then now I was the promoter. So I was like the rave promoter. So I threw like the first one in May, and then I didn't stop. I did the next one like 2 months later. So I threw a rave every like, you know, like January, like May, June, August, October, you know? And I took it the whole time while I was in school or university. I was like dreaming of the rave, like flyer, the poster, like the lineup. And it was always like the house room, house and techno, and then like the drum and bass room, you know? So I like, that was there was a huge scene in Toronto in the 90s, you know what I mean? And like, it got pretty big pretty quickly. Like by the second anniversary party, we had like 2,000 people, and it was I didn't have any financial, like there was no one help. It was just me and my two friends, like and like, and by the third anniversary,
right?
Yeah, we just worked hard. Okay, we got a venue, we got, you know, and everything was legal. There was nothing illegal. Like it was all legal. We rented a venue, we rented sound, we paid for flyers, you know. So by the third year anniversary, we got like 3,500 people. And then the 4-year anniversary, we got 6,500 people.
Wow.
So like, holy shit, I'm like one of the big promoters in Canada, you know what I mean?
How old
like,
were you?
So the first one I threw, I was 20.
Okay. So
yeah,
20.
I've always been like an entrepreneur, business-minded guy. I actually, the first job I had, I was pumping gas at a gas station. And in Canada, that really sucks because it's like really like in the winter, it's so cold. You're out there and you're like dying, you know? And then I went to, I worked at a supermarket for like a year and a bit. And I remember telling the manager, I was like, okay, I can work any day. I cannot work Saturday night or Friday night after like 10 o'clock because I have another business. And he was like an asshole. He was like, okay. And then he puts me on the schedule like Friday, Saturday. And then again, I was like, the next week I was like, no, I can work anytime, man. Just
Except
not
those 2 days.
Friday. Just please. And he's like, okay. And he did it again. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry, but I quit. And then since then, I've been always self-employed, and I've always been the guy who's like, I'm going to just do like, I don't need. So I've always been like an entrepreneur, you know? So yeah, that was the beginning. I never planned to be like making music. I didn't think I was going to be a DJ. I was too shy. Like I never want to be on like stage or anything like that. I was always like, I'll just run the party from, you know what I mean?
That's totally cool story. So, but you know, do you think that he was like cock blocking you because he knew that you are like earning additional money and doing that stuff, or he was just like typical nasty petrol station owner?
Some people like the power trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes certain personalities, you know, when you ask for something, they just want to be like in control. You know, so he was just power tripping. But hey, he did me a favor because
Absolutely, that's what I wanted to say.
If I didn't quit that thing and take, you know, the parties seriously, I wouldn't even be doing. I didn't honestly dream of being like a music producer, label. I loved it. And as a kid, I loved it. It made me feel great, but I never was planning to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I thought when I was a kid, I was dreaming that like, oh, when I'm 25, I'm going to be like a doctor, you know? Yeah. With a like white coat with a thing. I'm going to be, you know?
Helping people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. I mean, you know, when I was a kid, I remember I was 5th or 6th elementary school grade, right? So we had the opportunity to play the music before some bank holiday. It actually was a state holiday at that time, and I remember playing my first record was AC/DC, Back in Black, and I never ever had a vinyl in my hands, right? And I was like 6th grade, right? So I was like 10 years old or whatever, right? So it's 12 years old.
Yeah.
And you know, I played it at 45, you know, LP. So it was like, it was totally crazy. But then I said, okay, look, I think I like this because, you know, I immediately got girls around me and all this stuff, you know, and I always dreamt about, you know, and from that moment, you know, it was like a crucial thing for me, you know. I was always like taping the music on my cassette recorder at home, listening to the radio all the time. And then I was like pushing my father to get me, you know, to bring me to the radio station to talk to the people, you know. And he said, look, you know, we have a school, you got to do this, you got to do that. But then, you know, I said, look, just give me opportunity. You know, when I start my high school, I want to have opportunity just to go to the radio to say, hi, I'm Tom, you know, I would like to see how you guys are doing it, you know. And I started working on the radio as a part-time, you know, and it was pretty cool. I was age 14. And then, you know, 3 years after that, I already had my radio show on the radio, like very young. And I started messing with editing, with cutting samples, you know, Sonic Acid, Fast Tracker 2 before that, you know, some cracked software like Cubase, you know. I was trying everything. And that's how it started, you know, for me, you know. So I was always like, yeah, I want to do this for my whole life, you know. It's kind of like crazy story, you know. And then I did like other jobs in Pearl. I became a pretty big manager at one of the corporations coming from United States, you know. And at that point, I stopped working on music as I'm working right now. And then I lost like 10 or 12 years in a corporation and working music in parallel. But now I finally have like last 4 years just making music and doing the business. So my whole story was like, just to make it short, like, you know, music for me was like always number one thing, whatever happened. So,
same with me. I just never thought, like, I remember, you know, recording these tapes like from the radio, and then what I would do is like they'd record it 4 weeks in a row. They'd play the same song, but then I'd pause it and then I'd use the next week, so it would be continuous. So I would get rid of the commercials, and I would even try to sell them for $10, you know. But I didn't like plan, like, I just kind of, it's where my mind always like would go to the music, you know. And so then throwing the parties, I was like, okay, I need to tell people, I need to show people this music. I need to like spread this music, you know. And then when I started too, I was like, I loved drum and bass equally to house. Like I loved, and in fact, when I started, I was like trying to be like a drum and bass MC. So I'd be like, select us, you know what I mean? Like I would do the fake Jamaican accent, you know. But yeah, it wasn't until like, because you know, the drum and bass DJs, when they would come perform, they would have dub plates, you know. They would like drop like a record with their name, you know. So it'd be like MCGQ or whatever, you know, Kenny Ken. The house guys didn't really do dub plates. They would just play records. But the drum and bass guys always had VIP dub plates, which is like, for people who don't know, a dub plate is like, back then, remember, no internet, there's no CD player. You would have to buy a vinyl, right? Yeah. So they would make a one-time vinyl, like a special vinyl that they made with a certain song, with their edit or their remix, and they would have their name in it. And it was like, wow, that's so cool, you know? So I met this guy who had a little studio, a drum and bass producer. And I went in there and I recorded like, welcome to Liquid Adrenaline or whatever, certain things, you know? And then I pressed like the one vinyl. It was like, it cost like $100. And so I gave that to my DJs, like, play this. It's so cool. You have like a special record no one has, you know? And so that was the first time I got in the studio. And then immediately I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, you know? So I think I need to try that, you know? I can try. So like, it was expensive, but I had like, myself and a couple of friends, we shared our money and we bought like some studio equipment. So we bought like an EMU sampler. This was in like 97 or 98. So we bought like an EMU sampler, which was like $4,000, like a Mackie mixing 16-channel mixing board, which was like another $1,500. And then like bought like an Atari, one unit Atari with Cubase and MIDI, you know? Yeah. So I had Atari with MIDI, and then I bought a DAT machine. So I would like, I didn't know music theory. I didn't know music theory. I didn't know what a key signature or a chord or a scale. I didn't know that shit. But I did know like the music and what I liked, and I did see like DJ Sneak and you know like the Daft Punk guys were playing in Toronto. They would DJ in Toronto at this club called Industry, you know.
Mhm.
So I just like I would go into the secondhand vinyl shop, and if it said disco on it, I would buy that record for like $3, you know. So I was buying all these like old disco records, and then like I would just I never listened to the record, and I still don't listen to them. Like I don't want to know what it is because then it'll ruin my samplings. You know what I mean?
So
So I
you were
just
you were just looking for the samples, right?
yeah, that's it. I just want to find the gold, you know. And if there's no gold, next. So just drop the needle. Oh, that's good. And that's how I made Space Invader. Actually, I just found like, oh, that's a good, you know, 4-beat loop. Let's record that, you know. So
Is I mean, so you mentioned drum and bass. Uh, do you do any other styles besides house? How house music prevailed, or do you have like a secret style that you're doing and nobody knows that? You have like you're making a Canadian folk music, but you're secretly producing that for millions of
I
people.
mean, I've recently had like a friend over, and she's a really good singer, and I recorded her voice, and she asked if I could. I never really do it, but she showed me like a pop song, like kind of like a Calvin Harris type, you know. She's like, "Can you do this?" So I tried it, and it was like it's really good actually. So who knows? Maybe I can do other styles. And in the past, like maybe around 2003, I did like when Electro Clash was kind of big, and there was like I don't know if you remember like Fisher Spooner and Miss Kitten and the Hacker, and there
Yeah,
was this
yeah,
beginning Felix the House Cat.
yeah.
I was trying some of that style, but like you know, and I have like a bunch of like these analog these boxes here, like these I like to play, make like a kind of a form of like techno style, you know.
Mm.
But and in 2000, I think 13, 14, when trap was new and dubstep was new, I made like a few of those songs, but like I'd say like 99% of the time when I just sit down in the studio, it just house comes out, you know. That's just where, you know.
Where your
So
heart is, right?
that's where my heart is. Even when I started, I was like, oh, maybe I'll make drum and bass or house. I don't know. And then like as soon as I like it just was coming out, like just Chicago house. I think because also when I was a teenager, I still have some relatives that live in Chicago. So like a few times a year we would like drive, my whole family would drive from Toronto. I think it's like 9 hours driving
Mm.
to Chicago. We would stay with my relatives for like a week, and I would hear the radio there. They had like this I think it was B96 it was called. They had these like famous Chicago DJs like that would play like that house music, rave, techno. Techno then was different too, you know, it was more raw, you know. But yeah, so like that all just penetrated me. And I guess that's, and you know, when I was growing up as a teenager, I really hated commercial music. I was like the guy who like hated it. I was like a hater, you know. So now I'm more open-minded, but I still don't really like it. A lot of it is just brainwashing, you know. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I
So
mean, I can say the same for the generic tech house recently, right? It's like kind of
mhm.
like like shittiest pop music, like very repetitive and sounds the same, like same guy produced it. So you know,
Yeah,
as
that's the problem with
the one without the old disco samples or proper groove. I'm more towards thinking towards the UK tech house. If you go to the Beatport, for example, if you press play on, let's say, 20 tracks in tech house era, you know, a section, you can hear the same guys. It's kind of like pretty depressing, you know. I like to feel the groove, you know. I like to feel the funk. I like to feel the soul in the music, you know. Even if it's techno, like Detroit, like stuff that has soul. That music got soul, right? So, and it's made with love, so it's you can hear it, you know. It's not just, you know, I'm sitting in the studio and putting out like 10 tracks a day, selling it as a ghost producer, you know, to others, and then you just put your name on it. So yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. So you mentioned the Space Invaders, and obviously, you know, the next question is, so was that a turning point for you in your producer's career, or it was something else?
You know, it's funny because I I didn't take it as seriously. Now I look back and I like realize the impact, but at the time it was funny because I was already like I was kind of cocky, you know. I was already throwing these big parties. I was the boss. I was like, you know, how old was I now? 24.
Oh yeah.
I was throwing like 5,000 people, 6,000 people. I'm the boss. I would hire the DJ. I want to hire this DJ. I want to hire that. So I was like already, and like I wasn't making the best money, but I was made enough to pay for a university and some things. Like we used to sell tickets for very cheap. So if I sold them for expensive, it would have been, but I was always like, give them cheap, let people just have a good time, you know? So I was a little bit like, a little bit cocky, but it's good though. You need to be a little bit cocky. You know what I mean? You have to be a little bit confident, you know? So I remember I made a demo album and I sent it to this big DJ from Chicago, Bad Boy Bill.
Hmm.
He's like, oh, I love this. Let's release it all. And I was like, no, throw it away. I can do better. So I threw that album to the side and then I made like the first EP for him, you know? And the first EP had this song, Digital Doom, and he pressed a bunch of records and already Carl Cox was playing it, you know? And then I'm like, okay, I like started at the top. It was funny, you know? I sometimes joke that I started at the top and then it's been like 20 years slide to the but anyway, you know, like, but that's, the music industry has evolved in many ways over the years, you know. But the third record I did was this EP with Spaced Invader. It's spaced, which is like, spaced means like someone who's like a bit stoned. He's spaced, you know. And the invader is a guy who's gonna come in and just invade. So I was like thinking like the stoner who's gonna come in and invade with it, you know. And I was kind of inspired by like Roulette Records, you know, like just a loop and some energy and a build up. And I remember when I made that track, I played it in the car for a friend of mine, and I was like, "What do you think? What do you think?" Look, it's wah, 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 wah. And he's like, "I love the song, but that stupid sound is annoying. You need to delete that sound." And I was like, "What the fuck? That's the sound that makes it like memorable, you know?" So I kept the sound, and I signed that record to Bad Boy Bill's Chicago record label, and they did the test pressing, the white labels, and then after like a couple months, they're like, "Wow, it's selling a lot. We have this label in the UK, Defected, that wants to license it." And so I was like, I didn't know a lot about how, I was more of a promoter who made some records, but I wasn't aiming to like to be a big artist. I just wanted to make the cool music, you know? And then like next thing you know, the record's like Pete Tong's favorite song, and I'm in London and I'm in Germany and I'm in Belgium and on the radio everywhere. And I remember one of the things that was a defining moment for me, I remember one of the guys, it might have been Seamus Haji, he was the guy at the time who was dealing with me with Space Invader. We went to like a radio show in London, and then when we walked out, he was like, "Oh, no, no, George," and I was like thinking he's talking to me, George, you know. And I looked, and there was a guy sitting there, George, you know, and he's like, "Oh, George," and he was talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, HATIRAS, this is Boy George," you know, Boy George, yeah. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh shit!" Like, wow. And he's like, and Boy George was like, "Mate, I love your music," and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
What's going on?
yeah, what the fuck? I don't know what a chord or a scale or like I can sample it and loop it, filter. I was thinking like I was doing frequency magic, just filtering. I would look for where it's resonant, that part, and it sounds cool, and then open the filter more, and then
Mm.
change the LFO, and you know, like make it the variety from just this filtering, you know. But you know, so that moment maybe was one of the moments I remember in my life where I was like, oh wow, okay, so wow, okay, wow. But that guy's the guy, come a chameleon or whatever, on all the music videos when I was a kid, and he's telling me like, wow, you know. So anyway, but my point is, I was never like planning to be like, I was not trying to, I didn't have a plan to be like a music guy like that. And I never even thought it would even. I was thinking just the underground, you know. I don't know. So it was a bit weird, and it's weird that I'm still like doing it after like 20 years, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, I believe you're doing it because you started making it because you love music, right? You didn't start making it to be successful. You didn't. You had like your different thoughts on music and everything else, and inspiration came to you. You know, I want to do the music thing. I want to make music. I want to feel good. Not like I want to make music. I want to have like hundreds of girls. I want to be successful superstar DJ, etc. And you know, you mentioned you didn't know it's going to happen to be a big track. I think nobody plans to have a big track. Everybody wants to have a big track, but I don't think that anybody can plan that except if you're like uh, releasing music for the pop label and they tell you like, okay, we're gonna have like 5 songwriters, they're gonna make a hit because they're like making hits, right? But that's a different kind of music. That's a different kind of business. But if you make house music, nobody can say, okay, this is going to be a number one. You know the track from Camel Fat Cola, right? It was a huge hit. I'm not the big fan of it, but somehow I started liking it after some time. But you know, they got like 10 or 15 refusals before it got signed.
Exactly. There you go.
It took them 6 months to get it signed. That's what I read on the internet. So it's kind of like, nobody knew that it's gonna be like number one. It's gonna be like everywhere. It's gonna be like getting them a lot of money in gigs. So
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Those surprises, I like such surprises, man.
So exactly. I mean, even when I was a rave promoter, we had these rules. We had like, okay, successful event, good flyer, good venue, good weather. You must have not a lot of competition. The ticket price must be good. We had these rules, but the one rule was the unknown, the factor of luck. You know what I mean? You can't. And the same with like making a record, you can try all these rules. And I have this book. It's like, This Is Your Brain on Music, it's called, and it tells you all the hit record rules. It's like, it must have an element of familiar with an element of surprise. It has to be sonically well balanced. It has to have one vocal piece somewhere, it has to be trendy, but there's always that luck factor that you never know. So when I started and I made a record that was obscure and weird and not traditional, it was just, the whole point of that record was just me remembering being at the raves, being at making a smoothie and hearing a build up and seeing all the hands in the air and thinking, that's the moment. I want all the hands in the air, that build up, So I was just always thinking of like a build up, but like, so that song didn't have any vocals. It just was energy, and because I started my career with a big record that was kind of like a weirder underground record, I've always, whenever I try to do something with vocals and a song, and I've tried, you don't know which one's going to be successful because you think, oh yeah, this is perfect radio, and it's always
you don't know, right?
You don't know. There's some element of luck. There's always some undefined element. I don't know what it is, but like you can do 99%, but that 1% is that thing,
Yeah, it could be a part in a track, or it could be a person who pushes your track.
Exactly.
You never know, man. You never know. But yeah.
And that's why, when people ask me, oh, what's your favorite song you made? And it's like, every song I make, I sat there for I heard it like maybe 1,000 times before you heard it. I'm actually really bored of it by now, but while I was making it, I was like loving it. And to me, it's like a really good track. Maybe Pete Tong didn't say it's a good track, or maybe, Defected didn't sign it, or whoever at Universal, but they all mean something. It's like they're all like your children, you put love into every song, so just because one didn't get noticed, it doesn't mean it's not as good,
Yeah, that's true. I mean I think that's the appropriate way of making music. New kids are kind of like falling behind, you know, thinking what is the value of making music, you know. So they're like expecting success overnight. And then I talk to you, you're in the business for 20 plus years. I'm the same, 20, 25, right? I started very young. So it's kind of, and it's still like, not like, you know, we're like swimming in money, and we are like going year by year and trying, you know, to have a normal life and invest back into the music. But, you know, some kind of, what I want to say is kind of like, I think kids should be more humble, more patient, right? So, you know.
But it's a problem now because of the fact that, you know, everyone has their phone and their social media and their Instagram. So this social media thing is creating everyone to be a lot more self-centered and a lot less patient, because people don't know the value of, like, don't worry, maybe it takes a month, maybe it takes a year, maybe 20 years. A lot of young people now want everything like right now, and they're already like a superstar, which is good. You need to be confident, you need to be cocky, you need to go ahead, but like you also need to, like, you know, to relax, you know, just stay cool. Like, that doesn't matter. You don't need everything right now, you know. Sometimes if you get everything too quickly, it ruins it too. That's why every time I make music, I'm like, I think of when I'm dead a lot, because I think when I'm dead, whenever that is, there's going to be a nice catalog. It's my legacy.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm leaving. That's why I'm here on this earth, because I'm leaving a nice little catalog, you know. Maybe when I'm 60, I'll have another, I don't know, you know, but like, I'm not trying to think of every record has got to be like, you know, this massive record, or it just, you know, it's creating stuff I like, I enjoy, and pushing the whole scene forward, you know. And I think, like, even that's why I'm proud of, you know, to be honest, it was like 2014, 2015, I felt a little bit bummed out. That's what EDM had reached this massive, you know what I mean? And it was like, shit, I didn't join that train of like make EDM. I didn't follow it because my heart wasn't there. So I felt like left out, like all these guys like Deadmau5 and Steve Aoki and these guys, oh my God, millionaires, you know? And so I was looking, what am I going to do? You know, and I remember it was, I think 2016, 2015, I went to ADE and I went to these big parties and they were playing EDM and I was like, oh, fuck. And no one was dancing. Everyone was just standing there like, okay, you know? And then I left. I couldn't handle the music. So I went to some small like bar and I saw some guys playing like loopy, raw, old sounding Chicago disco deep house. And I was like, there was like 10 people there. And I was like, that's the music I love, man. Fuck everything. I'm doing a new label with that sound. So that's when I was like Spacedisco, you know? And Spacedisco is my third record label. I've had 2 other before. But that one was like, I don't care what's popular. I don't care if you call it jacking or if you call it disco, whatever I'm going to make what I like, what I know, what I remember from my, and then now it's like 166 releases, I think. Like I'm going to be like,
sick,
you know, so I'm just, and I was going to quit at 100. I was like, my first label, it was called Blow Media. I got to like 96 releases and then I quit. It was too much. And then my next label was called HATIRAS. It was more like electro house. I got to like 97 and then I quit. So I was like, okay, whatever with Spacedisco, I just get to 100, then quit. You know what I mean? But I got to 100 and now it's like, okay, 150. Maybe I'll quit at 200. It's like, because you're always setting a new target, you know what I mean? So it keeps you going, you know?
I as long as it makes you happy, right? You know, that's my goal. You know, as long as I'm happy making it and doing it, I'm gonna do it. You know, doesn't matter the money. It's not like an issue here. So if it's not making me happy, I'm gonna stop. Like
same here.
At one point, you know, 2014, 2015, I was very passive. Like I didn't do anything. Right? I was just like working at my job. And I moved to United States, you know, and I spent like some time over there on one of the very stressful roles, but I liked it. And then I decided, I said to myself, look, it's 2016. The house is coming back. You know, I want to be on the train on time. I'm going to quit. I'm going to go back to Croatia. I'm going to restart everything. I'm going to like push it totally, you know, crazy, created peasant project, you know, just to make fun of it, you know, and it, you know, it's 2020. And, you know, I'm happiest person on planet, except, you know, this COVID-19 screwed up a little bit, but, you know, hey man, I think, you know, if I'm back in 2016, I would do probably the same. And I was, at one point, I was really sorry that I didn't do it earlier, right? You know, because I said to myself, look, if I'm not going to do it right now, I'm going to be pissed on myself for the rest of my life, right? So,
yeah.
So I had to do it, you know, and you know, interesting story. So when you pick collaborators, so do you have any certain criterias, or how do you do it? Do you like, you say to yourself, I want to collaborate with somebody, or you like making track and then you think, oh damn, I don't know what to do else on the track, so maybe let's find somebody else who can jump in and help?
You know, I never really watched the movie too much or remember much about it, but I think it's called Field of Dreams. It was some old movie, I don't know. But there was this one thing that stuck with me, and it was like, if you build it, they will come. So I always think, if you build it, they will come. So I'm like, whenever I try to reach someone or reach something, usually it doesn't work. So what I usually do is I think,
you wait.
I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna go, and then it attracts people. It's like saying, like, build it, they'll come. So almost every collab I ever do, it's because it's organic. I never say, oh, I need to work. A lot of guys like have a plan, and it's very good. I should have a better plan, but like, I don't really work that way. I'm very organically, I just feel like, just go with the flow, you know? And like, even like, you know, you mentioned the new record I have coming out with Seb Jr.
Yeah.
This next week. I respect that guy's work. I think he's amazing. I think he's great. I met him very briefly at ADE in the fall, and he was very nice, very nice. He was a quiet guy, you know, very nice. And like, I saw he posted something on Facebook. He was like, man, he was like pissed off. He was like, and a lot of guys write the same thing. He was like, I send these demos to this label and it's never good enough, never good enough. Why don't they sign it? He was complaining, you know? And I was like, you know what I mean? But a lot of guys feel that way because you're like, but you got to remember that, like, no one owes you anything. These labels are busy. They have an agenda many times. They already have a plan. They have to sign. They already have their art. It's hard.
They have to like your music in the end,
they
right?
have to like it, and maybe they have to like you. Maybe they don't like you, you know? I don't know, you know? So, like, you can get mad about it. Anyway, he just wrote something like, why these labels, like, try to always, like, say no. It's depressing. And I was like, yo, your music is amazing. You're amazing. I love everything you do. Don't ever question yourself. Just do and you have your label. Don't worry. And then he was like, oh, yeah. Well, I have a sample. Do you want to collab? I was like, send it. He sent a sample. The next day, same day, I sent finished. He's like, holy shit, finished. And then it was like, okay, now I'm going to send you a sample. You finish it. So then I sent him a sample. Then he finished, you know? So it was like the whole thing. We did it in like, just like, I think 1 or 2 days. So quick, you know? And I didn't plan to work with him. I just saw he wrote something and I related, because all artists will feel like sometimes really depressed. You feel like, oh no, why is this guy? The worst thing you can do is compare yourself to other people. Why? Don't compare yourself. You look, but then get to work, man. And you know what? Even if it's not perfect, it's better to be active, put stuff out, develop yourself, grow, you know, because like this business can make you crazy, you know?
Absolutely.
Especially with the money stuff too. It's like everyone thinks, oh, all these artists are so rich. Okay, maybe I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, and our artists are embarrassed. No artist wants to be like ask for help, you know. Every artist, you need to portray that you're like successful, that you're
Yeah, it's
strong,
like
that you're
ego and pride. Yeah.
ego and pride. So no one's gonna be like, yeah, you know, I got a million streams, you know, yeah, it was two
That's
thousand
like a
dollars
thousand.
for the
It's
yeah
like
for the year.
$1,000.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so that's why, you know, whenever I see like someone talented, like when I saw Seb Jr. complain, I really like it. I related because I'm like, I understand, and don't stop and go. You're good, man. Don't worry. And I think that something's going to change in the future. I think right now the internet and everything is still, it's not what it's still changing,
Yeah.
but very soon, because now you see Hollywood movies are suffering, you know, with the illegal sharing. Very soon they're going to have to change the royalty rates. If Spotify paid like just 10 times more, even Facebook, I saw like last year they made, I think, $17 billion. Okay. No one has a job, COVID, no one's working. So what you want to do in this new era, pay people for their content. Everyone's on Instagram, Facebook, they're making memes, they're making songs, they're speaking. Create a new economy. There's a new economy. If you have 17 billion and you pay 10%, 2 billion for, you know how much people will have jobs. People
Yeah.
will be more motivated. But right now the royalty rates, and even it really pisses me off that like Facebook and Instagram, we build them, we give them the content, we put up everything, even our streams, and then they just, oh, we make money. Don't worry, it's free. No. That's why I'm happy. Like Defected, like the other day, they were like, okay, no more streams. We're gonna find a new. Soon there's gonna be a new way. I think this COVID thing, there's gonna be a new like economy, and it'll be good for us. Like it'll be good. So for us having like a lot of music and big catalogs and staying active is good. It's just right now is like the low point. It's the hard time, I think now, you know?
Yeah, there was an interesting newsletter from Claude Von Stroke about the Joe Rogan thing with Spotify, right? And he explained it why is that so good? Not because of the 100 million that had been paid by Spotify, but because, you know, he finally managed to say fuck off to, you know, YouTube and others, right? So they were paying zero to him. I mean, the
And you
ads
know,
and all that stuff, the classical thing, you know, but it was like way below. But then again, there's a question like, okay, so now Spotify has money to pay somebody, but they're at the same time they're not paying the artist. But then, you know, I guess that's life. You know, I believe that if you're gonna have like a lot of streams, you're gonna get paid. But if you don't have a lot of streams, you won't get paid. So, you know, also I understand people complaining, and I also understand people who are not complaining, because sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't make any sense. You know, so you can't complain that you're not earning any money if nobody listens to your music, right? So
you're right, but I do think that somehow, some like, if all of the artists and labels group together to just fight for, hey, Spotify, 0.001 cent, come on, 0.1. Just now you made everyone's life better. It's like Amazon. Like, I don't mean to be such a, you know, hippie here, but it's like, okay, you made 100, what is it, 100 billion. So
something like
now
that.
maybe you change it so you can, otherwise, like, what's going to happen? Like, it's just everyone's going to starve, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I think we're at a point, I don't know if it's going to get worse or if it's going to, but like these royalty societies like BMI or ASCAP, I think something's going to change in the next couple of years, and it's what motivates us, you know. But yeah, right now it's, I wouldn't say it's like it's even fair, because even the biggest, like even the biggest artists, like the big pop artists,
They
they
get
should,
peanuts.
yeah, you know. So I don't know, but we'll see. The Joe Rogan thing is really interesting because maybe, you know, for example, our live streams, right? We should be able to like do a DJ set where the music is already pre-cleared, it's already licensed, and they have some arrangement where it's like, okay, for every stream, you know, this much goes to the content, this much goes to the DJ. If someone sets up that system, like it's going to be like a huge thing for artists, for music. It's just, it's someone's going to step up and change it, you know?
Yeah,
So
I got a newsletter like yesterday from some of the PRs that is sending us news for Mixmag, and they mentioned something like uh, service called Clubify, like a new platform where you're able to like monetize your mixes and streams and where everything is pre-cleared.
that's amazing.
It was just like 2 days ago I got it. Like, so it's
Yeah.
probably something new, it's coming, I hope it's coming because the current system is not working, especially, nobody can tell you right now, look, for the artists, it's important, the gigs, the merch and etc. But, if you don't have gigs because of this current situation, even if the situation is over by end of the year, the flights won't, reinstate by themselves at that price level that they were right now, before the COVID. So, one of the analysts said, like, for the next 2 years, we're going to suffer with the flights, right? With the regular flights, with the regular. So, for example, something that you had paying like 100 euros, you're going to have to pay like 400 right now for the same route because there won't be so many flights as it used to be. A lot of companies will go bankrupt. They're selling airplanes, So something like, okay, this weekend I'll go to Berlin to have some fun. No way, man. So that's why I think music societies, musicians, labels needs to unite and to figure out the way how to make internet working for us, for them, for everybody, right? Because otherwise it's gonna be even worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
But
I feel I'm kind of glad, like I'm a little bit of an older guy now, because if I was like 20, I was seeing this thing and it was like a lot of people under 30, they're like feeling very depressed right now, and hopeless. It's like, it's a crazy time, but hopefully, things, there's always some crappy before the good, so maybe like, maybe we enter a new era, where it's like, things are more fair and who knows,
I think, yeah, you might be, you are probably true. So this year will be definitely a test for everybody, so survival of the fittest, so whoever survives this year is going to be like the king in 2021.
Yeah. And you know what, for guys like us, it's kind of a good situation because we're not like the huge DJ making, playing like every, I don't play every weekend. Like I did more back in the day, but I got some weekends I play, some I don't. But I've learned like a few years ago to like live cheap, be smart, and like stay active, and don't worry. Like when the gigs come, they come, and some days, some months is better, some is worse. But like for guys like us who are actually making the music, like it's okay because we could make all this music, we have our labels, but like certain DJs who just like all they would do is like tour and never make music. Oh my God, that's like it's way worse for them, because but you know what, they need to learn how to make music now, or get another job or something, but I'm not scared. For me and for my good friends who all make music, it's kind of like, this is the time where we're getting ahead though, because it's like, okay, it's cool, this DJ, but we're the music makers. So it's like, and I'm not stopping, I'm more than ever now. I'm putting out more music than ever. I think on my label, I have one every week. I have like at least a couple records every month. And I don't have any rules. I'm not worried trying to make it popular, or I'm just trying to make cool stuff, So it's like, it's a good time. And me staying home now too is kind of a good thing. I'm not partying as much. Sometimes I like to go party, So like staying home more is keeping me very active, So I don't know. It's not a bad thing for us. It's just it's interesting to see where things are going to go. Who knows, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So if there's like a track, if there's like one track you have to choose that defines house music for you, which one?
There was that, remember that Promised Land, Joe Smooth?
Yeah.
Brothers, sisters. Oh, I love that song. Or I Can't Get No Sleep, Masters at Work. Remember that one? With, one of those.
With India, right? With Indian vocals, right?
Yeah, because house really more than anything, I guess, like the vocal element is important, you know, soulful, you know, roots with, you know, disco, all that. I don't know. So yeah, Joe Smooth, Promised Land. I love that song. And you know, when I would hear that music, I would be like, I could never make. I don't even know how I would make that, you know. And luckily for us, samplers were invented, so you could sample stuff, chop them,
Yeah,
and then I'd learn vocals later, you know.
yeah, amazing track. I love that one as well. Um, so there's a second question. Actually, next question is about the Space Invaders, about the inspiration behind that. But I think you already mentioned what inspired you to make a Space Invader track, right? So,
You know, the one thing I didn't bring up is like
or there's like something you want to share with us.
usually daydream about aliens. In what way? I feel like we don't understand what creativity really is, and whether or not there are other civilizations or technologies or anything. I don't know. Maybe not. But when you get into the studio and you like can kind of just meditate and just dream and close your eyes and imagine like some signal from somewhere else coming to you, you know? I always love the thought of like a cosmic connection with creativity and music. So like a lot of the music I've made, even the Spacedisco or my first album was called Arrival, or you know, some album called, you know, 2.5 million light years or Andromeda. Like I always feel like a thing with like space somehow. I don't know. So Space Invader was from the connection with like a space, but also like 80s video games, like the game Space Invaders,
Yeah.
you know, and also like being spaced is the guy who's a little bit crazy. I like that. And the invader is the guy who like, he's not following the rules. He's not trying to, he's coming in from the other door and he's making an impact. And I always view myself as like, because I've never been a guy who's worked with like major labels and big managers and big plans. And I've always just been the guy who's like, that's cool. I'll just do my own thing. I don't care. I don't care if it makes money, doesn't make money. I'm going to do whatever the space beams tell me to do, you know? So that's where it comes from, you know? A little bit weird. I like it a little bit weird, you know?
Yeah, interesting, you know. So let's go to the DJ booth. So is there like equipment that it has to be there, and for example, or something else that you have on your DJ rider that it's must and you won't play if it's not provided?
I mean, now of course it's a CDJ, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have it could be a CDJ 2000 or even the XDJ. The XDJs are great, but I can't play if I don't have the thing to put my USB in. You know, I love vinyl, but I'm not trying to go play vinyl right now. I had to go to the chiropractor for many years because of the vinyl. You know, so heavy, right? But like, yeah, CDJs, and I really love still the DJM Pioneer mixers. I'm very comfortable. I can DJ with my eyes closed, you know. But if it had to be another mixer, Rain or something, it's okay. But I definitely need like the CDJs. That's for sure, you know. But other than that, if there's no monitors, or if there's no a speaker's broken, or
You're okay with that?
I could still go, you know, as long as I have the CDJ.
Yeah, I mean, when I was starting, and I mean, still from time to time, we go to the venues where they have some technical issues, right? And, you know, you got to learn play with the headphones on, you know. So a lot of DJs are not able to do that, so they like don't want to play because they can't hear the, you know, music on the booth speakers, right? So it's kind of like, you know, you gotta be, you know, inventive, because, you know, when I was starting, there was no like booth speakers, right? There was no like a DJ booth with the proper monitors inside, you know. It was like, it was a sound system, it was delay, and you were like suffering all the time. So if you didn't have a proper headphones, you would be screwed, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, but yeah, I know, it's typical. So small venues or big venues? Explain.
So the big venues look really cool for your photos and your videos, and it makes you look cool. So definitely that's like for the optics of it, big parties definitely look cool. But like sometimes some of these big parties, you're so far from the crowd. You have to go up on the stage and they're like so far, and then you go to some trailer and it's like you had no interaction. Like the small party vibe is cool when you're like right across from people and you could shake their hand and you can, but like one of the things that I think of actually is like some of my favorite gigs have been at Burning Man, where it feels like a small party because everyone is around you, but then there's like a lot of people, So that's my favorite, like a small feel, but with like a decent size crowd, So then again, I like, it could be 10 people, 10,000, doesn't matter, as long as like you feel a connection.
You have fun and there's a connection.
Yeah, fun. And if the sound is good, like it translates. But if the sound is shit, like sometimes it doesn't matter what you play, like it's just, good sound is important,
Yeah. I don't care about the lights and everything else. I care about the sound system. So house music with EDM or whatever, like techno, the good sound system can, it's not so necessarily needed, but with house music where the bass line is like very important part of the track, I think it's very, very, very important to have a good sound system.
Oh yeah, and I mean guys like us for producing and mastering and finishing, and you're spending like a whole day on like, no, the snare is it too long, too short? Is it volume 1 dB here? So it's like you play, you want to hear your work. You know what I mean?
That's true. So let's go to production part. So do you have any favorite plugins that you can't live without, or you like more leaning towards the analog hardware synths, or you combining both? So what is like your favorite, let's say 3 plugins and maybe 2 hardware tools?
For hardware, I have, okay, when I started with hardware. EMU sampler, Mackie mixing desk, Atari. I had to record it on a DAT machine. And I was dreaming like when, then Acid came out. Oh my God, all these plugins. I can like do everything. One day I'm going to do everything on a laptop. And I was dreaming and hoping. And then, to start. And then I don't remember when it was, maybe 2008, 9, 10. It was like more like everything's in the laptop. Amazing, And then a couple of years later, there were some of these phone home features these software would do. So I was like, and then sometimes you'd have to authorize with a dongle, different things. And I was like, oh no, I don't like this. I'm going to go back to hardware. So then I started going all the way back to hardware, and I wanted to make music with only hardware. So I bought all this stuff. And now I have the perfect marriage, both. So like for software, Ableton is my DAW, And the plugin I probably use more than anything is, I use Ableton EQ. Waves, I have like L2 and some basic. I use L2 a lot, and then some Brainworks stuff. But I'd say Ableton and some Waves and Brainworks, but I could do everything on Ableton. But like for hardware, like a few years ago, I was like, went crazy with like hardware compressors. I wanted to know how each one sounded, and I, wanted to start buying different ones. And so I bought a cheap Alesis and then a DBX, and then like Art Pro VLA, and then some more expensive DBX, some distressors, different ones, So like it's hard to pick, but like I definitely am a nerd with I'm a real nerd with this stuff. I'm really. Every analog keyboard, like all the Moog and whatever, Juno and everything. I like, if I won the lottery, I would just buy all of it, I'd buy the Shadow Child, the Shadow Child, anyway, the big compressors,
Yeah.
Like SSL and Leaves and everything.
Shadow Hills. Yeah.
Shadow Hills, yeah, I said Shadow Child, I almost bought that Shadow Hills like a few years ago.
Yeah, but there's like a Fairchild compressor, right? Yeah.
There's this one company called Stam Audio. They sell like clones, so they have like a clone of a Fairchild as well.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But anyway, so yeah, like the mix of both is what's important, like software and both.
Cool. Yeah, I have plenty of gear in my studio as well, but rarely turning on my analog stuff. lately. I have a lot of mastering gear as well. So sometimes I find it, because it's very time consuming, right, to get everything in place. It's easier for me to just do everything in DAW, like, with VSTs, with plugins, with UAD, with Waves, with Plugin Alliance thing, Brainworks, and those guys, Steven Slate, etc., etc. But yeah, I mean, I hate making music on laptop. I like to have it there on a big screen. I don't know if I'm getting older or what, but I like the commodity of sitting in a studio, having big ass speakers in front of me, and having a huge screen, so I can spread everything on 2 screens, and then I'm absolutely in control, which was not possible for me in Ableton.
Yeah, I do both. Like I'll do like, I feel like my home, I have like my studio is here, so I have like the big monitor and my laptop and all the hardware plugged in, and so like I'll start and I'll do all the fine tuning, but then like I'll unplug it and I can lie in bed and I can I can arrange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'll do both. Like I like to do like in the studio and then on the laptop just lying down. A lot of like the production I do is like also just really just lying down, because to arrange, copy, paste, so I love both.
That's cool. Usually when I'm laying down, I'm browsing eBay and looking for the movies I don't have, so I'm trying to purchase.
Yeah.
And Dan, who is part of Peasant as well, he's like 5 years younger than I am, so he's like the laptop guy, and he can make music even on toilet, so it's crazy.
Yeah,
I like to have like commodity, like sitting in a studio or in front of the desk and like having a mouse. I hate touchpads, right? So
I don't need a mouse. I do everything.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
you got used to it, so I was not able to get used to it. I'm unable to getting used to it. So anyways, another topic, piracy. Nobody wants to talk about it. Some people are hating it, especially the labels and artists, but on the other hand, I have like is there any good of having your track pirated on the website? What do you think? Is probably there are some pros and cons. Like, for example, if somebody ripped your track and put it online, it means that they like your music and they want to spread it with everybody else, and it means that you're making something out of it and it doesn't suck. But then again, it's a kind of a disrespect. But how do you feel like an artist seeing your music on internet for free?
I mean, I don't even check anymore because it's everywhere. Like one of my friends, like, it made me a little bit sad because one of my friends showed me he showed me some website like last year. He was like, look, I go on this website and I paid like, I don't know what it was, like $20 or whatever, $30 a month. And he's like, and I have everything. And I was like, I mean, that's nice, but if you want to support the guys, and remember, they're human beings, it's good to support. So for me, like, I always buy every song. Like I don't want to pirate anything. I'd rather, it's $2, man,
Yeah.
So I'm very moral with that. I want to buy, even like when I started, I was doing some crack software, but I don't have any crack.
Yeah.
I learned, because it's like karma, my laptop is clean, every Brainworks, Waves, Ableton, everything is legal, it's purchased, I don't have a problem. If I need customer support, and if I give them the money, it'll come back to me, So I feel like, personally, it is cool that people are sharing your music, and like, what are they gonna do? I don't blame them, because it's not like they're in a situation where it's easy to do.
Yeah.
But like that's why I do hope that one day, like something like a YouTube or Facebook or some of the internet can change, where I always dreamt of, like, there is no privacy. Anytime you get a file, it goes from your laptop to the internet. It's they know. So there could be some little royalty, something, I don't know, maybe a new system. But like, personally, I prefer to like, I just buy everything, It's not that expensive. So
I think the solution is like having ISPs paying a certain amount of money to, music societies.
Exactly. Why are we paying? And then I get passionate about this. Why do I pay my cell phone $100 a month? Because they're giving me internet or what? why do I pay my internet provider $100 a month?
Yeah.
They could take 10% royalty, and anytime anyone does a meme, a video, a photo, a song, there's just a small serial and it just goes to the royalty. But I think that's going to happen because now that we're also entering this new world of like super high bandwidth internet, right? You know, all this like, well, there's a lot of conspiracies, this, that, but like the reality is that like this 5G technology is going to allow 4 gigabit per second downloads, you know? That's crazy. So you can get a whole Hollywood movie in like 1 second. So piracy is going to go up. It's going to get worse. But then they're going to find a way to like change it so that it's like, I don't know, something's going to change, you know?
Yeah, so I believe there's like the certain model in place where, you know, you pay, I don't know, instead of 60 euros, you pay 65 euros a month for the internet connection. 5 euros go, for example, to movies and music, right? Societies.
I've been dreaming of that for
that would be a huge step forward, you know, and I believe the big major labels are talking to ISPs about that, you know.
It has to be because, okay, it's been how many years now? 20 years of internet, and it's been growing and evolving, and now certain players have taken all the money, but you can't ignore the content and the content creators. Without us, there is no internet.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we all like did a boycott one day, we could be like, you know, yo, like let's be fair here.
I mean, I remember when there was like early days of internet in Croatia, 1997, right? And then I had dial up, and it was really like you had to be like super skilled guy on IRC, you know, chat, to have like friends at the universities with the big internet connections to be able to find any music for download, right? At that point of time, it was not possible to buy any music, almost any music legally in Croatia, because we just ended up with the war, you know, everything was like redeveloping, you know, so it was like really, really hard. Same with the software, you know. But now it's really sad when you see that my father or anybody else can go to Google, type the name of the track, and you get like 25, 30 links where you just click and download. That's the sad thing, you know. And we will see, you know, there's like initiative coming from Traxsource, Beatport, and other guys remembering about this anti-piracy thing. So I'm just curious what's going to happen with that. You know, I hope they're going to be able to implement some kind of a watermark or whatever in every track that is being sold or streamed. So whoever, you know, shares it, they will be able to, you know, find it, or they'll have like a spider crawler or whatever software that can find those tracks based on algorithm on internet and take them off. You know, I hope it's going to happen, you know, because model that we have right now with the streaming only,
we're in a situation now where like certain capitalist things have like spun into like a little bit out of control, you know. Some of the big players like you made a lot of money, you know, Facebook, Amazon, you know, now time to create a new economy. So that's what we can do. Otherwise, literally, like people will just be like, it'll you know, why would you, it'll be so depressing, you know, like, oh my God, you know? So I don't know. But anyway, you know, no matter what happens though, at the end of the day, like we have the house disease, we're going to make it no matter what, you know? If the world ends, I'll find a drum and I'll make a 4/4 beat, you know? Make people happy, you know? That's our job, to make people happy, I guess, you know.
First you gotta be happy. First you need to make yourself happy, then you are able to make others happy. That's the key thing, you know, that a lot of people do not understand.
Exactly.
Okay, so we are getting closer to the end of the interview. So the thing is, what probably everybody wants to know is, do you have anything that is really interesting but you didn't share it yet? Something about yourself.
I don't know. I'm a super nerd who loves, I'm kind of shy, you know. People maybe, you know, sometimes people imagine certain things about you, you know, but they don't really know that we're all just normal nerdy guys, just like who love house music, who love music, who love technology, who love learning and trying to like create stuff. And I really like, you know, I'm not driven by like some kind of fame or money thing. I just really want to like try, especially now with the way things are. And it's like every day you wake up and there's bad news everywhere. It's like now is our chance. We're trying to make people feel better, happy, to raise the vibration. And I think, you know, I don't know, maybe that's not something weird. Maybe I guess you know it, but I just, for me, I really want to like try to make the world a better place with the small thing that I could do, you know? So other than that, yeah, I don't know. I don't play video games anymore, or I just like to, you know, I love, you know, music, equipment and everything and technology and, you know, so I don't know, I like, the alien stuff was the coolest stuff that I was talking about earlier, how I like to daydream about that stuff, you know?
But you're not into like conspiracy theories, or
I mean, you know what, I
you
will say that like, I am one who will read a lot from every side.
mm-hmm.
And I've learned now that more than ever, the media now, every side has like an agenda. And it's very hard to tell what to believe from anywhere anymore. So the number one thing is, I guess, stay calm.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get too freaked out. Stay calm, you know, because everyone's trying to, scary stories sell.
Yeah.
If you read a scary title, you're going to like click it, you know? So like, but also, oh, here's one thing. I have a biology degree, so that's, people don't know. I was supposed to be a doctor. I went and I did like 5 years of biology, and you know, I was in a lab wearing a lab coat and, you know, the goggles, and I had the little devices. I was doing all the DNA, all those tests. I was doing all that stuff many years ago. So whenever there's anything like a COVID study or a journal, I can understand it more than normal people because like I had that training, you know? So anyway, the point is that like, you know, there's my secret. I have a biology degree, you know? So, and you know, the main thing now too is when you read bad news or people try to argue online, just remember everyone's scared. People don't know. Different people have a different view. For someone like who has a crappy job, maybe they don't want to go back to work. They're like, no, keep things locked down. I don't want to go back to work. And other people like us, I want to go back and DJ. I want to have a party again. So everyone has their own view about everything, you know? And like, we just try not to really judge or try not to get into fights, and try and like inform yourself, you know, read it, and, you know, but don't get too sucked in with anything. Just be like, try to stay calm, because there's a lot of even political things going on right now that are like, we don't even know the whole truth of even what's going on anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, if somebody wants to control you, they'll control you, you know, no matter what, right? So you can't do anything anyways. Yeah, and 5G is here, so
yeah,
it makes no sense to fight against it. But yeah, you know, when you mentioned biology things, so what is your like opinion on COVID-19? So is it like, you know, because I'm asking this because I was kind of like following the news, and we were like very, very like, you know, strict with the regulations and all that stuff. And I didn't go out for like 50 days, which is, you know, I just went out, you know, for a walk, but I was trying to avoid people, contact, whatever, not, right? And we were like, you know, I mean, I'm washing my hands like 6, 7, 8, 10 times a day, but this was like 30 times a day, 40 times a day. It was like kind of like very, very hardcore. But now, you know, within like 2 days, like there's no COVID, there's like no new infections, which is a good thing. But, you know, how come it happened that fast? So do you have like any view on that? So how do you see it? Is it like,
well, let's look, if
we have, by the way, we have elections coming, so maybe that's related to it, but I don't know, you know, I'm just trying, you know, to figure it out, you know.
If I start, I could talk for hours about this stuff. There's always like different agendas at play, you know. Yes, there's many different stories. We don't know what to believe, but like at the end of the day, if you got your body, take care of your immune system, make sure you take care of yourself, be clean, you know, stay sane, go get some fresh air. You're not going to go make out with strangers on the street and like, you know what I mean? Like, and touch every, you know, so anyway, when I would go to the gym before, I'm not touching everything and touching my face. I wash my hands, I'm aware, you know, but there's a lot of misinformation and agendas, and different sides are trying to use it for their advantage. There are different parties trying to profit off of this whole thing in different ways, whether it's pharmacy companies or news or whatever it is, or even, you know, big, but like, I hope that when people complain, they say, oh, look, everyone's in the park. I'm the one who's a raver, who's like, I mean, go let people live their life. You live your life, you know? So if you want to be afraid and stay home and live in a bubble, go do it. Yeah. If you want to go, I'm like more of an anarchist. I'm like, go do your thing, be safe, be smart, take care of yourself, you know? And also, it's easy to poison your mind with like every side.
Yeah.
You know, the mainstream and the conspiracy, every side, there's poison everywhere. So just like, I don't know, try not to argue with people, try to take care of yourself and be positive. And that's why even for this stream I did for you, in your song, that song is like, people need to hear that vibration. That's what's going to bring people out of this, you know? You saw in the stream how I put the clouds behind there, right? Yeah, that's like, we need to do that. We need to just raise the vibration, you know, and take care of everyone around, and take care of your health, and try not to like get too freaked out. You know, maybe at the beginning they had a lot of projections about what could happen, and you know, maybe we fought it off, maybe it didn't happen, maybe whatever, but like the stats now, this shows that like, okay, it's not
that
wasn't too many deaths, it's not that bad, you know, take
Yeah.
care, don't worry, it's okay, you know, go outside.
Yeah, the only problem I see here is like the economy just gonna suffer for the next.
The economy is, yeah, and you know, some people say that this is deliberate too. Other people will say, oh, this is a deliberate shifting of an economy from one old way into the new way. So I don't know. This is a whole other topic we could talk about, but like,
yeah. But definitely, I don't like this new way of controlling with fear. You know, that's how I see it.
That's horrible.
It's the easiest way out. You can control the masses and unhappy people, you know, unemployment, you know, and all that stuff. So, but anyways, we can discuss this like for another like 2 hours if we want to. So,
absolutely, yeah.
I think we already like doing this for like hour and a half or even more, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, very long interview.
Wow. Yeah. Anyways, you know, internet is so, you know, it's internet thing. So. And it's a beautiful day today on Friday. Today is Friday, by the way, people, if you don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. What is Monday? I don't know. I never know anyway, though, you know.
Yeah, I mean, especially when I'm in studio, I don't have windows, right? Because it's like in the basement, you know, so I don't know what is it the day outside or is it already dark? So it's the same thing like this, you know, podcast. So final words, you know, before I let you go, do you have any advices to new kids, like the kids who like to be successful with music, or the kids who decided that, okay, I want to make music, I want to, you know, be a DJ, a producer, whatever. So do you have like any advices or do's and don'ts, you know?
Well, number one, try to stay positive, because don't burn bridges, don't be nasty. Build your art, stay focused, stay confident, and just like, if you can take the positive route, then it'll be better in the long term. Because, you know, and don't over compare yourself to other people. Just don't worry, everyone has their time. Maybe you have a huge success right now, and later life is interesting, you know, life has ups, downs, left, right, unexpected. So just like, stay focused, stay active, stay positive, and then good things come. Because It's not, there's no point fighting with people online about, you know, even if you're fighting with someone about something, just be nice. You know, if everyone can be nice, we'll have a better world. People will enjoy music. You know, that's the main thing, you know, just stay active, you know, don't worry if it's not perfect. Maybe that's what's cool about it, that it's kind of raw, you know? Yeah. So just better go ahead and do it. Don't question, move forward, you know?
really nice set of advices. I have to agree with you on this one, you know, but we are old school, right? So maybe, you know.
Yeah, we're the old guys now. We're like,
So George, thank you so much for this beautiful 2 hours. We can hear you and see you playing on Saturday on Mix Magalia Portal on Facebook and on YouTube. For those who are big fans of Peasant, we have a vinyl coming. You know,
very cool.
It's everywhere, including Amazon. It's my first record on Amazon. Wow, you know, I was so surprised when I was Googling stuff, and I found that the record is being sold on Amazon. So, you know, guys, you know, this is the way how you support your artist, by buying music or supporting the streams or whatever. Just don't go to illegal sites and pay stupid, subscription fee and take the music, you know, just as granted. So George, thank you so much. I hope everybody else enjoyed in this long ass interview, but it was really, really interesting and interactive, I think. So I wish you all the best. And also I hope to have you soon on Blacksoul Music. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll get in the studio this week for you. Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you for the interview and all the info, and I appreciate everything you've done. That's amazing. Thanks.
You're welcome, man.
You know? Awesome.
Cheers.